There were a lot of things that were very important to us that mattered. One of the big things for us was safety, but also medical care. This was going to be the last place we were going to live for the rest of our lives. We feel safe here. We feel comfortable here. It was like you were breathing air for the first time. This is where we're going to spend the rest of our lives.
At their age, you don't want to make the wrong move because when you retire, you don't really get a redo and you don't get a test estate out for 6 months. Real life is different than the pictures or videos, and the wrong choice could cost you time, could cost you money, and could cost you your peace of mind. And Bill and Mary had moved around the world their entire lives, Germany, the South, the East Coast, and they knew this next move was going to be their last one, their forever home. And the pressure of getting it right was heavier than most people admit. If you're new here, my name's Craig Flood and I'm a real estate agent and we help people relocate to Idaho. Now, retirement sounds simple from the outside, slower days, more freedom, and if you're relocating, then a fresh start. But in this stage of your life, choosing where you'll spend the next 20 or 30 years is one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make. Today, you're going to hear the real story of Bill and Mary, a couple who searched across the country, compared multiple states, dealt with surprises, and finally found a place that matched their values. And by the end, you'll know exactly what most people get wrong about retiring and whether Idaho is the place that you think it is. Before Idaho was even an option, something pushed them to start searching. And when you're retiring, choosing wrong has real consequences. So this was the moment that everything shifted.
The last thing we wanted to do was make the wrong decision. We had 18 moves in 38 years. I didn't want to make a 19th, 20th, 21st. This was going to be our final move.
Most people move every 5 to 10 years. They moved 18 times. And when that's your history, the idea of picking one last home is almost intimidating. So this isn't just choosing a state, it's choosing the lifestyle that will carry you through the rest of your life.
Before you moved to Idaho here in Nampa, what were you guys dealing with at that time that was kind of causing you to be like, we need to figure out what the next step is?
I think the calendar.
Yeah, I was in the window for retirement at that point. And, you know, we have never been people who lived for work. Mm-hmm. I liked my job, but, you know, I was ready to punch out.
Yeah.
This is something I hear every week. Retirement isn't a finish line, it's a doorway. And once you step through it, the questions shift. Where can we actually enjoy life? Where can we age safely? Where will we not have to move again? That's where their minds were.
There were a lot of things that we were thinking of. This was going to be the last place we were going to live for the rest of our lives. And so we didn't want to make a mistake. There were a lot of things that were very important to us that mattered.
When you listen to them, it becomes clear they weren't running away from anything. They were running towards stability, towards peace, towards a life that actually fits the stage of who they are. So now the question becomes, what exactly were they looking for? When you're making the final move of your life, the decision doesn't start with price or whether, it starts with the question, what do we actually want the rest of our lives to look like?
A lot riding on not just the house, but the community. And one of the big things for us was safety, but also medical care, because we're getting older. I mean, I'm 68.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't take long before all of a sudden there's a whole lot less ahead of me than there is behind me.
What she's describing is exactly what most retirees eventually realize. It's not about chasing the ideal lifestyle anymore. It's about building one that supports you every single day. So for them, safety, medical access, community, these are the foundations.
It's still kind of high desert here where you get the 4 seasons. That was important to us, having 4 seasons. That was another reason why we didn't want to go to Florida. I said, I can't handle green all year long.
Because Florida's just kind of natural given. If you're thinking about retirement, let's consider Florida.
Yeah.
Kind of just gets added to the list.
Yeah.
Well, and we had lived there for a year. Yeah. Well, a year and a half.
Yeah.
So this part of their list removes a lot of the obvious states. They didn't want to be isolated and they didn't want to be swallowed by endless suburbs. They wanted peace without losing connection, a place where nature and everyday life actually work together.
When you're retired, you don't have to worry about working anymore. Every day is Saturday. You also want to live somewhere where there are things to do and places to go. I mean, we've been a lot of places and we've experienced a lot of things. And it was important for us to not go somewhere that was remote or didn't have many opportunities. And this area seemed to offer a lot.
This is the practical side of retirement that many people overlook. You still need to move. You still need to see family. You still need access. And for Bill and Mary, staying connected mattered just as much as finding calm. When you put everything together, their list becomes very clear. So safety, community, medical care, nature, convenience, connection. This wasn't about escaping somewhere. It was about building a life that made sense for them. And once their list was set, one place started climbing fast, even though it wasn't on their radar at all in the beginning.
What were some of your top picks that you were considering?
For a while, we were really looking at Florida. And I said, we lived in Florida when he was working for the Navy in Panama City. And I said, I don't want to go through the hurricanes again. And I hated the heat and I hated the humidity, but we were still looking at it because prices at the time seemed still good. And he was saying, well, let's try Central Florida, because Central Florida, you don't have quite the storms because you're not right on the coastline. But that still doesn't stop the fact that it's uncomfortable to live there, and it's hot and it's humid. And I really would miss the 4 seasons of the year, which I knew you had here because we'd been on many trips here. We'd visited here, and we were in the Reno area, and we were kind of used to that environment anyway. That was sort of our home base. And I said, I just can't handle having Christmas with pink flamingos and palm trees and no change of seasons.
Wrong with that.
I mean, the beaches were beautiful and we loved it. But when it came down to it, for the rest of our lives, is that really how we want to spend our lives? So it narrowed down to literally Florida. And then I said, why don't we start looking at Idaho? We'd go there on our weekends, and we really always liked it. We should look. And at first he was a little apprehensive because I think he really kind of at first had his heart set on Florida.
We had looked in a few other places, but it was kind of a quick look and then move on.
It didn't hold our attention.
And this is how it starts for a lot of people. Idaho isn't a state that you stumble on at the top of some retirement list. It pops up usually when everything else kind of falls short. When you need mountains without chaos, or nature without isolation, a city without crowds. That combination is rare, and that's what drew them in.
We had done a lot of research.
Particularly when we discovered a good Indian restaurant in Boise.
We did a scouting trip, which I would encourage everybody to do.
What's interesting is that they didn't have a personal connection here. No family, no friends. What pulled them in was alignment. Every time they compared options, Idaho kept matching the life that they wanted, not the one that they were leaving.
How did you then stumble across us, and what role did we play?
We were doing a lot of research on YouTube. It seemed like everybody and their uncle was doing a YouTube video about Idaho. It seemed like everybody was moving here. We started zeroing in on, they have some good information, but I don't like their technique, or he's too pushy. And then we saw your videos, and then we'd go, well, let's see, does he have any more? And then I think we subscribed to your channel, and then we'd see new things would come up. And we looked at all of them. You would do things for Star, you do things for CUNA, and we watched every one of them because we wanted to know what makes them all different. For a while, we thought, wow, Star, CUNA, that sounds kind of interesting. And then we're going, well, how far away is it? How big? We didn't want to end up with the same thing with Weezer, except they were a lot closer to where you could actually get somewhere. But we pretty much zeroed in because on yours, you gave the best information, it seemed. And to be honest, you've got a very calming nature. I wanted somebody who was their first priority was, I want to put you in that forever home. And the commission I get is going to be great, but my first priority is you. And a lot of people, I didn't quite get that feel. On yours, I thought, he's got the pulse of what we're going to want. And so that's why we literally from Germany, we picked up the phone and went, what time is it over in Boise? And we called you.
Once Idaho started checking their boxes, curiosity turned into research, and research turned into a visit. And that visit changed everything because it took Idaho from an idea to a place that suddenly felt possible. And that brings us to the moment where everything clicked, the moment Idaho went from maybe to this feels right. For Bill and Mary, that moment happened really fast. The second they started driving through the parts of Idaho that matched their list, everything they had been searching for, safety, nature, connection, medical access, and a real city, showed up in one place.
Well, and to be honest, every time we came here, it just felt like home. And I think that's the main thing is if you have that feeling of I belong here, then any of your doubts just go out the window. When we took the detour, when we were coming back from our trip to Moscow, when we stepped out at McCall, we literally took a deep breath, and it was almost, I hate to use this term because it sounds so hippie, like a healing. It was like, it was like you were breathing air for the first time. And it's like an epiphany moment where you go, there's something about this place.
What you're hearing is that shift from looking to knowing, and the reason it hit them so quickly is simple. So everything on their list existed right here. So here's a map of the Treasure Valley, and over here you have foothills, and you have great cities with awesome neighborhoods kind of all throughout the Treasure Valley here. And you have access to major hospitals around the Treasure Valley. And if we zoom in, you have a really great downtown area, and you have the Boise airport. So they weren't reacting to theory, they were reacting to how the valley, the Treasure Valley, is built. So mountains in view, a real city, and everything tied together.
It's comfortable, the people are friendly, the streets are clean. We went to the Capitol building and there were no metal detectors. We're walking around and Bill goes, I think we could walk in and see the governor if we wanted to. It made us feel like this is the way life was always supposed to be. And it's not anymore, hardly anywhere else. And that's when we were thinking, this is where we want to stay. We feel safe here. We feel comfortable here. This feels like home. This is where we're going to spend the rest of our lives.
And this is where Idaho becomes different from other states. A lot of places offer beauty but not convenience, or they offer convenience but not space, or nature but not community. Here, all of it sits side by side. So again, let's highlight this. You have the foothills here. You have beautiful homes and neighborhoods right here. All of that is right on top of downtown Boise, Idaho. Again, we're barely kind of fitting in the airport. And then in addition, you have the river right here and the green belt, which is a 25-mile walking path all along it. So you kind of see that everything is really side by side. It's not like you have to go hours or multiple hours. It's right there at your doorstep.
Luckily, when we found the house and we loved it, it was like, it's great because we can still go here. We can go here. We can go here because everything's so nearby.
I mean, there's so much more to living somewhere than just the house that you're in.
Yes.
There's how far is it to the grocery store?
Yeah.
Is there a Home Depot, or a good hardware store close by?
After that drive, the search was over. The fear of making the wrong move was replaced with certainty. Idaho matched their future, not just their criteria. This wasn't just another move, this was home. Once Idaho felt right, the next question was simple. What does life here actually look like? When you move across the country, the part that matters most isn't the views or the first impressions, it's the rhythms of everyday life. And for Bill and Mary, the shift in Idaho showed up really fast.
We kind of almost had that ingrained in us of Idaho equals relaxation. Stress is taken out of, because we worked at very stressful jobs, and we relied on being able to get out there just to kind of recalibrate.
Yeah.
And we were thinking, man, if we could capture that for the rest of our lives. Now we're looking at the rest of our lives living in one place after moving everywhere. We've got to make sure we're making the right decision.
So this isn't about perfection. It's about everyday kind of friction dropping. Less traffic, less noise, fewer crowds, more room to breathe. That makes an enormous difference in retirement.
If you enjoy the outdoors, if you like fresh air, if you like getting out, if you like hiking, you got snow sports like it practically in your backyard. If you want to go skiing or snowboarding, it doesn't take you that long to get up there.
Also, if you enjoy skiing, something to note, this is going to be downtown Boise right here, and then maybe 30, 40 minutes out of town. If you just drive this wiggly road, you get up to Bogus Basin, which is our local ski resort.
People aren't afraid to talk to you here. Now, I tend to be a bit of an extrovert, so I will talk to strangers. It's just, I've always been that way. But what's nice is they're actually talking back here. I mean, a lot of other places, they look at you like you've got lobsters crawling out of your ears. Like, what's the matter with you? Why are you talking to me? You're a stranger. You don't feel that here.
Yeah, we were talking about going through the Capitol building downtown, and the woman behind the counter, she just started chatting like we'd known each other for a lifetime. This is just how it is here. You know, people are friendly. They're outgoing. They're comfortable. Mm-hmm. And that's something you don't get in a lot of places.
You know, and I'm in Germany and I'm looking at the Facebook page and I'm seeing all these other people because there's quite a few older people in this neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And I'd see all these little things, you know, from people saying, oh, whoever cleaned my driveway this morning, thank you. I had to bring my husband to the emergency care. Thank you so much. It was all like thank yous of thank you for clearing my sidewalk. Mm-hmm. And I thought, boy, we made the right decision. These are people, these are neighbors that are looking out for each other, and that's what we like.
So when you ask how long did it take to getting to know people,
immediately,
it didn't take any time at all. It was sort of built in.
Yeah.
It was really a nice experience.
Every place has its surprises, and when you move somewhere new later in life, you're going to run into things that you didn't expect. And what matters is how those moments shape your confidence in the decision that you made.
We've shared a lot of the good. What's the bad? Not any place is perfect. We don't have hurricanes, we don't have bugs, we don't have humidity.
Yeah.
But what do we have that you're like, that people should know?
Well, we did notice that for a span of about a week, there were quite a few flies.
We had a lot of flies. We were sitting on the porch and it was like, unless you had one of those little battery operated tennis rackets, and even then it didn't matter. They were everywhere. Mm-hmm. And they just go after you.
But that was a very minor thing.
And then in spring, and I love spring. Usually it's one of my favorite times. Actually, right now is my favorite time. I love fall. Too much wind. There was so much wind, we couldn't enjoy the porch because at that time of the year, it's still chilly. And if it weren't for the wind, you could sit out there maybe with a sweater or a blanket on your lap and enjoy a cup of coffee. But with the wind, forget it. And it seemed to last almost all spring. Every single day it was windy. We had to take the wind chimes down a few times because they were just rattling like crazy. And everybody in the neighborhood was saying, it's unusual that it's this much. This year it's been bad. So I don't know, maybe it's just one thing.
Yeah, it might have been just a freak weather system this last spring.
I honestly don't have that many complaints because so far everything has pretty much lived up to my expectations. And I haven't been all that disappointed. Sometimes I get disappointed and it's more of a cultural thing because I miss some of the European aspects of life that I don't have here. But that's a personal thing. It's not a general. It wouldn't be somebody who's coming from maybe Arizona to come here, although maybe somebody coming from Arizona would not be happy with the winters. I love the weather here. I know it snows and it's cold in the winter, but it's similar to us to Reno. It's almost the same. I love the four seasons, but otherwise I don't really have very many complaints. I've been really, really pleased. I would like it if they would get an IKEA or a Buc-ee's here.
If you're standing where they once stood, comparing states and trying to make the final move of your life, their experience could be a great blueprint for you. Bill and Mary found exactly what they were looking for here, and seeing Idaho for themselves is what made everything clear. If you're looking for help and looking to make a move like they did, you can call, text, or email me directly. My information is down below, or use the link in the description or in the top comment to book a consult with me. But if you're not ready to do that, then watch this video next on retirement. And I'll see you guys in the next video.